Good afternoon, miss. If you're looking for Miss Upton, I'm afraid she's not in right now.
No, I've already spoken with Miss Upton. I'm looking for Mr. Miles Fordham.
Oh, I see. Well, I'm Miles Fordham. What can I do for you, Miss...
Mrs. Emily Morgan. I have a problem, you see. Miss Upton said you'd be able to help.
I suppose you'd better come in. So, what seems to be the trouble?
It's my brother, Ronan Lespay. He was murdered 4 nights ago outside a tavern in the Chum.
I suppose he was spared having to see the outcome of the election. Well, she may have voted differently, so I don't want to impart my, opinion of the voting.
How unfortunate. Please, go on.
The police took his body to the mortuary and investigated the crime scene, but they're out of ideas. I've been down there at the station every day, but they don't seem to care enough to look into it any further. All they've been able to determine was that it wasn't a robbery, and that the clothes he was wearing weren't his. My brother was a good man, Mr. Fordham. He would never have willingly gone to that part of town. I need to know why he was murdered, and I want whoever did it to pay for it.
Very well, Mrs. Morgan. I'll take your case.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Fordham.
I just need to know where your brother was killed, and where I might be able to contact you.
He was found outside the Silent Raven. It's on Alewife Avenue, on the west side of the Chum. Here, take this. It's a photo of Ronan. It might help your investigation. And if you need to speak with me, you can come to my husband's bakery. It's here in Worcester, at 15 Drummond Street.
Very good. I'll begin my investigation right away.
Thank you again, Mr. Fordham. You have no idea how much this means to me.
All in a day's work, I guess. She's just gonna stay here?
Well, this case has our names written all over it. Maybe it'll be good practice for finding the man who caused my death, eh?
Yeah, we're gonna get to it, I suppose. So what are we still doing in the apartment? We should start the investigation. Not much else to do here except read the newspaper again. I wonder if this murder will have any political ties, since we did have to vote. The Silent Raven is a bakery, and Upton's apartment. I miss my own home, you know. I hope we manage to patch things up with Addie in the end. Or she's most likely gonna get killed by the serial murderer. So let's go to the Silent Raven. Or should I talk some more with the wife? Let's talk to her.
All right, Mr. Chavez. The cake and muffins come to a total of 6 crowns, 10 shillings.
There you are, Mrs. Morgan. And thank you again. Barbara is going to love this.
My pleasure. Enjoy.
Man, he said it a little creepy. Barbara's gonna enjoy
Pardon me,
these.
sir.
Pardon you, suspicious guy. That seems insignificant.
I'm sure Barbara will enjoy them, the cow. Ah, Mr. Fordham. Welcome.
Thank you, Mrs. Morgan.
A little animosity, eh?
Those look nice, but given the choice, I'll always side with pie over cake.
Yeah, me too. Me and Bill, we're on the same page.
Those look nice, but given the choice... The bunch of assorted baking products. Don't waste your time with those, Miles. We've got a murder to solve.
What are you talking about? They might be useful.
The bunch of assorted
Assorted baking powders. Products.
The stuff in that day-old box doesn't look half bad. More like 3/4 bad. Well, I never had much of a sweet tooth, but even I'd consider buying some of this stuff. You know, if I was still alive. Minor detail, I know.
Yeah, it's insignificant.
A very wise man once told me, never go poking around the back rooms of bakeries. I think you'd do well to heed that advice.
I kind of want to poke around, though. That's what I do. I poke around.
Have you got time for a few more questions, Mrs. Morgan?
Yes, of course.
I like her style. That hat looks amazing.
What can you tell me about your brother?
Ronan was the best brother anyone could have asked for. He took care of me after our parents died. Carriage accident. I was only 9 and he was 13. Ronan went out and found work and managed to support the both of us. He was just a child himself, but he kept us out of the gutter. Or worse, the workhouse.
How did you hear of his death?
Ronan comes by to visit me every day after he finishes work. When he didn't come for 2 days in a row, I got worried. I went to his apartment, but he wasn't there. So I made a report to the police. Yesterday they contacted me and asked me to come to the mortuary.
I'm terribly sorry for your loss, Mrs. Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Fordham. Please, find whoever did this to him. Ronan deserved so much better.
I'm sure he did. We're gonna find the person responsible.
So, this is your bakery.
My husband Gerald and I have had it for almost 10 years.
Is it just the two of you? Do you have any children?
Alas, no. Some extra hands would be most welcome in the kitchen, but we haven't yet been blessed. It's such a shame that Ronan never got to be an uncle.
What sort of life did Ronan lead?
You know, just normal. He'd go to work, come visit me afterwards, and go home. He didn't have much of a social life. At least he never mentioned any friends to me. I always hoped Ronan would meet a nice girl to settle down with, but he was so shy, you know.
Where did Ronan work?
At the Grips Home Taxidermy Shop in Gascon. I always thought it was rather macabre work, but he enjoyed it. Bit lonely, though.
Lonely? So who would want him dead?
What do you know about your brother's murder?
Only what the police told me. He was shot at close range outside that pub in the Chum. Nothing was missing, and his wallet had money in it, so they said it wasn't a robbery. I didn't recognize the clothes he was wearing. I had never seen them before, and they were far too big for him. I still can't believe he's gone. He was the only family I had left.
Dr. Edwards at the mortuary might be able to give us some more detailed information. The only thing we'll get out of this one is more tears.
Understandably, Bill. It does sound like he was murdered by that Justice serial killer. I think I'm gonna take another look at that newspaper in Upton's apartment just to verify what's been going on with that killer. That Keeler.
Can you give me the address of Ronan's apartment?
It's at 1172 Bushmill Street. I have a spare key.
That would be most helpful. Thank you. What are your thoughts on the outcome of the election?
Oh, I haven't given it much thought, to be honest. It hardly seems to matter now.
Yes, of course. My apologies for bringing it up. Those are all the questions I have for now.
All right, Mr. Fordham.
Alrighty then. Nice apartment.
Quite the collection of exotic items in here. Ronan appears to be a seasoned world traveler.
Or at least knows someone who is.
Yeah, look at all this stuff.
Just looking at this painting is making me feel seasick.
No, Bill, you and I are on the same page always. I get terrible motion sickness.
Some kind of owl mask. The hair looks incredibly familiar.
How?
Some kind of owl. This one is scarier than the other masks. Wait a moment. I think I saw something shiny in the back of the mouth.
Oh yeah, it's sparkling in there.
How about that? A perfect hiding place for a key.
For the desk.
Ronan's book collection mostly consists of cheap pulp adventure novels, but this top shelf looks interesting.
What does it say? Exotic Fauna of Alanea? What the hell does that say? Oh, maybe I should just read. Exotic Fauna of Africa, of Australia, Secret Customs of the Orient, Bible, unmarked book. Black rhinoceros, elephant, kangaroo, koala. You must be aware, dear reader, that the customs of the Orient differ greatly from our own. You do well to familiarize yourself not only with the common ones, but the more obscure and clandestine ones as well, lest you offend anyone on your travels. Opium use. At the turn of the century, travelers to the Orient would often seek out the more exotic pleasures, which is to say, opium. Nowadays, the influx of immigrants from China to Vespuccia has caused a significant drop in this type of tourism, as many opium dens have appeared in El Presidio, with some even known to exist as far as east of New Britannia. In any case, opium dens are open to all who seek to indulge. Known colloquially as riding the dragon, the use of opium recreationally for relaxation or as social activity is a common pastime. Baiju, that was a drink, right? I remember it being mentioned in Dreamfall chapters. If you're offered wine, make sure you understand what exactly it is you're about to drink. Chances are it might be baiju, a clear liquid usually distilled from fermented sorghum. Cool. As a foreigner, drinking baiju may be a shocking experience. It's been known to be used as a way of proving yourself in a group. High concentration of alcohol, too much for anyone not used to it. The last thing you want to do is end up face down in a back alley. Very true.
It's in another language, but it appears to be a Bible. No title, and it appears to be blank. I wonder if Ronan just kept empty books on his shelf to appear well-read.
Or maybe it has invisible ink. Or maybe it leads to a secret chamber.
No title, and it appears to be blank.
I'm betting invisible ink. Definitely is suspicious.
I had an illustration that looked similar to that one. I wonder where it ended up. I guess Ronan won't be realizing his world travel dreams now. Death really has a way of messing up your plans. Ronan wasn't too concerned with comfort, apparently. This is hardly bigger than a bunk at sea.
It does look rather terrible. Very uncomfortable bed.
Some kind of owl mask. This mask looks African. You should try it on. It'd be an improvement.
Oh, very funny, Bill. I shall apply water to that burn.
This one is scarier than the other mask.
Now let's open this desk.
Now to find out what Mr. Lespay finds so precious.
Letters?
Ooh, this teacup could use a washing. I'd be surprised if it isn't permanently stuck to the desk.
Who would leave their teacup in there and close the desk?
A model of the SS Joondalup. Looks like a merchant vessel to me. A model of... They appear to be a pair of letters from Ronan's landlord.
Open them. July and September. Ronan, with regards to your request for an extension to pay this month's rent, I'll gladly give you until next month. You've always been a reliable tenant who has paid on time, so don't be concerned. I hope you resolve your issues. What issues? I understand we all go through financial difficulties, but I'm afraid I can't extend my generosity beyond the end of 2 months. Please have the rent ready by then, or I will have no choice but to seek legal action against you. So he was having some issues.
It's empty. Too bad.
There was a cup here previously, I guess.
Ooh, this teacup could use a washing.
That means that there was someone else with him in here?
Aha! A letter from someone called JIMBO?
Ronan. Next week will be a year since we met. I can honestly say my life has changed for the better in every possible way. And I will always hold July 8th as a special day in my heart. I can't wait to see you again, Jimbo. July 8th. Alright.
This one appears to be from Emily.
This is a year before all those financial difficulties and stuff. Gerald and I will be celebrating the new year, and I would like to invite you to spend it with us. Feel free to bring along any guests you'd like, especially any lady friends you might have. All my love, Emily. Oh, Emily, I'm afraid he was more into Jimbos.
Looks like you found Ronan's journal. Perhaps this will be able to give us some more insight into what he was up to before he died.
Do it. Read entry from July 8th.
There are 2 entries, one from this year and one from last.
So, start with last year's.
July 8th, 1843. I've decided I need to get out more, so I'm going to a club in Gascon tonight. Stuffing animals has taken its toll, and I need to talk to someone who isn't Emily or my coworkers. Gerald told me about a place called the Crimson Cat, I'll try it, and if I don't enjoy myself, I'll just come home. Now for this year's entry. July 8th, 1844. Today is our 1-year anniversary. We're going to meet at the Cat again. I love him, but I wish he wasn't so attached to that place. Emily is so nosy, I worry that she might follow me and discover the truth about Jimbo. If we moved around, I wouldn't worry, but with him, it's always the Crimson Cat. I really shouldn't complain, though. What we have is something truly special.
Well, it seems that our best hope of finding this Jimbo character is to visit the Crimson Cat.
So he was into Jimbos, just like Bill.
Let's see. November 9th, 1843. I have an uneasy feeling of dread today. Last night I had a frightening dream where fire rained from the sky and people were afflicted with an awful disease. I'm just going to focus on my work today. Perhaps the feeling will pass. October 21st, 1843. The air is growing cold and is reminding me that I need to purchase a new pair of boots for the winter. I don't think this entry will be of much interest.
No, not really. But I'm just reading random entries.
June 17th, 1843. Someone brought in a rare big-eared hopping mouse from Australia yesterday. Stuffing it was quite a challenge as the organs were difficult to remove without damaging the body. I think I'd rather not read about Ronan's taxidermy process any further.
Why not? It's so much fun.
November 9th, 1843. Last night I had I'm just going to... February 24th. These long periods away are the most difficult, but all the time seems to disappear when I see him again. My solace is that he will return with plenty of tales of adventure. I can hardly wait to hear them.
Hey, wait, that was important. So Jimbo was a seaman. Yes, and that's where he got all his masks and travel stuff. Got it.
October 21st, 1843. The air is growing cold and is reminding me... I don't think this... March 11th, 1844. I must have eaten something last night which didn't agree with me because I've had a terrible case of the runs.
Probably best to skip this one.
Agreed.
Well, it's very important to know that he had the diarrheas. Let's leave the journal for now, since I'm getting repeat texts. Well, it seems that this place is now cleared. So we learned a little bit more about Jimbo situation. Crimson Cat. Taxidermy Shop. Oh, it was right next to his workplace. I wonder if his sister knew about Jimbo and Emily.
Have you got time for a few more questions, Mrs. Morgan?
Yes, of course.
Are you familiar with someone who goes by the name Jimbo?
No, I don't think so. Who is that?
A friend of Ronan's.
No, as I told you, I didn't know Ronan to have any friends. I especially don't recall him mentioning anyone called Jimbo.
Those are all the questions I have for now.
All right, Mr. Fordham.
He never told you about the love of his life, Jimbo. Strange that he wouldn't tell his sister that. I guess everyone was expecting him to bring a nice girl home when he just had a nice man. A nice sea man.
Hello and welcome to the Gripsome Taxidermy Shop. Please let me know if I can be of service.
Oh man, look at this. Look at this poor guy. That is some bad taxidermy.
Is that supposed to be a lion?
Having the time of his life.
I wonder how many people it took to bring down this brute. There's a small button on the base.
Oh, does it move?
Just when I thought I'd seen it all. What will they think of next?
Animatronic stuffed gorilla? That's interesting.
Exotic dead fauna from every other continent. You never even need to leave Vespuccia. That leads into a room with even more dead things. It's such a shame we haven't the time to stick around and explore.
What are you talking about? Of course we do.
Reminds me of the one in the Dupre house, except that one actually looked alive. There's a small button on the base.
Ooh, what does this one do?
Welcome to the Gripzone Taxidermy Shop. Please enjoy our displays and be sure to consider us for all your taxidermy needs. Just a reminder, we stuff animals only.
Well, that's just boring. They should stuff humans. What? I didn't say that.
I was wondering if you might answer some questions for me.
Of course. What can I help you with?
Of course. Oh my god, you're pale. It's like you're... Are you the Silver Surfer in your spare time? Jesus, look at this guy. It's like he's never been outside.
I was told Ronan Lespay works here. Do you know him?
Ronan? Yes, of course. That is to say, I know he works here. I haven't had much interaction with him. He mostly keeps to himself.
Does he have an office or workspace I might have a look at?
Now wait just a minute. Why would I let some random stranger off the street in to look at an employee's workspace?
Because I'm a private investigator and I'm trying to get some information.
Well, even if that is the case, I'm afraid you're out of luck. Ronan does have a workspace, but it's completely bare. He doesn't keep anything here.
Okay, Malfoy.
Were you aware that Ronan was murdered 4 nights ago?
I had no idea. That's awful. What happened?
That's what I'm currently trying to find out. Do you know if Ronan had any enemies? Anyone who might want to do him harm?
No. As I said, I didn't speak with him much, or know much about him. But now that I think about it, I did notice a strange man waiting around outside the shop a few days ago.
Strange man, eh?
Tell me about this strange man you saw.
At the time, I didn't think much of him, but the more I recall, the more I realized he was being very suspicious.
What did he do?
He just stood outside across the street, but he seemed to be focusing on the building. It was as though he was waiting for someone.
Do you remember what this man looked like?
I didn't get a very good look at him, but I do remember some things. He was tall and had a heavy build, like a boxer or a dock worker. He had a beard, I think, or mutton chops at the very least, and as far as I can recall, he was wearing all black. He also had on some kind of cap. I'm sorry I can't give you a better description, but that's all I was able to distinguish. My eyesight isn't very good, I'm afraid.
It'll have to do. Thank you for your help.
It was Jimbo. He was waiting for him. Bad eyesight, eh? So you have albinism, that's why.
So how did you get this job?
Oh, it isn't a terribly exciting story, I'm afraid. I just saw an ad in the Gazette for a clerk position. I never expected to learn so much about taxidermy.
I'm sure he's amazing conversation at parties.
I imagine he is.
Anything you can tell me about the shop?
Plenty! This is New Britannia's most sophisticated taxidermy shop. Unlike other taxidermists, we work with modern technology to get results they could only dream of.
What does that mean exactly?
Using steam tech, we are able to create the illusion of life in these beasts. Just take a look at our floor samples. The parrot and gorilla are 2 of our finest works. They really speak for themselves. Well, the parrot does at least. I think it would frighten our customers if the gorilla did too. And once ethericity is harnessed as a viable source of energy, we'll get even better results.
This guy is way too excited about bringing dead things back to life.
Yes. Fascinating. Moving on.
So I guess you were pretty disappointed about the outcome of the election.
Any thoughts on the recent election?
I'd really rather not talk about it. I don't know how the people of this country could put someone like Hart Leroy in charge.
I know what you mean. Leroy may be a champion of the common man, but Atwood's vision for the future is more important right now.
I couldn't agree more. Leroy wants to forsake all the technological advances of the last decade and take us back to the Dark Ages. Next thing you know, he'll be bringing slavery back.
I doubt he'd go to such extremes.
Perhaps we should drop the subject. I get a bit passionate when it comes to these sorts of things.
Thank you for your help.
I'm here to serve.
Well. Not much else to do here, for now. So there was a strange man outside, which was probably his boyfriend, Jimbo, waiting for him. Oh man, that lion. Oh, we've been here before. Yeah. We've been to the Crimson Cat before.
This place has been around for quite some time. That well-dressed feline is Red, the official mascot. Fine beer, always served here. Good to know. Quite the selection. It rivals even the Angel.
I like the setting of the Angel a bit more. It just looks better. This looks really cramped and it's in a basement. Hello, sailor.
Call me old-fashioned, but I've always felt the piano should be played by an actual human. These automated ones just don't have any soul. Looks like a view of Claremont Street with St. Denis Cathedral in the background.
Now, let's talk to the sailor that is most probably Jimbo.
Good old Bollingworth Ale. Unlike so many other things in life, it never lets you down. Well, not while you're drinking it anyway. The next morning is another story entirely. Attention customers. Use of Dr. Tennyson's figure pills while under the influence of alcohol may cause loss of consciousness. It's nice to see this establishment looking out for its patrons. Seagrave's Stasholine, high-quality mustache wax. You know, I always wondered what you'd look like with a mustache.
Beg your pardon. Your name wouldn't happen to be Jimbo, would it?
Yeah? Who's asking?
Miles Fordham, private investigator.
Can a guy enjoy his shore leave without being harassed by the law? I've done nothing wrong.
I didn't say you had, and I'm most certainly not the law. I just want to ask you a few questions.
All right, fine.
Where does the name Jimbo come from?
It's just a nickname. My real name's James Bowgroth.
And what is it you do?
I'm a sailor. I thought you detective types were supposed to be extra observant. Shouldn't you be able to tell me what my occupation was just by looking at my fingernails or something?
Sorry to disappoint. Perceptiveness is important in my line of work, but I'm also just a man.
I think perhaps Jimbo has been reading too many of those detective stories in Brentwell's.
Do you have any opinions about the recent election?
Not really. I'm usually way at sea, so I don't keep up with politics. The sea's got her own laws. Anyway, I can't vote, so it's really none of my concern.
But you're still affected by the decisions the Prime Minister makes.
Not very fair, is it, Mr. Fordham?
No, I suppose it isn't.
It's definitely unfair. It's terrible.
You know Ronan the Spey?
I knew him, yeah.
Knew him?
He and I haven't spoken recently. In about a month, actually. Things didn't go so well last time.
How do you mean?
Let's just say we didn't part on the best of terms. He made it very clear that he didn't want to speak to me again.
Oh man, he is not gonna like this.
Were you aware that Ronan was murdered?
What? No, when? What happened?
He was shot outside a tavern in Chumley 4 nights ago.
Chumley? What was he doing there?
I was hoping perhaps you could tell me.
I honestly don't know. Ronan hardly went out, and he especially never crossed the river.
Why was that?
I think he was just too scared of the world to go out and see it for himself. He was happy enough reading about it in his books or collecting things I brought him back from my travels. Honestly, that's what I liked most about him. He was just an average, boring man. It was just the sort of balance I needed in my life.
That's pretty much the exact same reason I always enjoyed working with you, Miles.
Watch it, Bill.
You and Ronan had a special relationship, didn't you?
Mr. Fordham, we're in an underground club. You don't have to tap dance around it. Yes, Ronan and I were a couple. At least up until last month.
What happened, if you don't mind me asking?
We had a misunderstanding. Ronan thought I had been seeing someone else. He was extremely jealous. I tried to explain that he had it all wrong, but he wouldn't hear me out. I was going to give him some time to cool off, but, well, that's not going to happen now, is it?
If it's any consolation, I found a letter you wrote him, which he still kept in his desk.
Damn. Thank you for telling me that.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Maybe you should give him the letter. I mean, the man has cooled off immensely since they last spoke. You should give him the letter. There's as a keepsake.
He won't have anything relevant to tell us right now.
Alright. Now, I guess we should go to the murder scene and see what happened. Now that we have a more rounded picture of Ronan, let's see why he was killed. Oh, this place looks trustworthy as fuck.
These advertisements are all at least 10 years out of date. What a mess. To think, in an instant, a man's life can be reduced to some scribbles on the filthy pavement.
Now's not the time to get poetic, Bill.
Now is not the time to reminisce about your own demise, Bill.
It's an ad for whiskey. Or, perhaps, paint thinner. Sometimes it can be hard to tell the difference. I suppose you could do worse, as far as bar names go.
I like it. I like anything with ravens.
Your mascot seems to be a raven with a glowing red eye. Is that meant to attract customers or to scare them off?
Oh, there's gonna be something in the drain.
Securely fastened, unfortunately for you. If only there was some way to undo these bolts and remove the drain cover. Yesterday's rain has made the water level rise significantly. Is it just me, or does it look like there's something resting at the bottom of the drain?
Of course
If
there is.
I have no way of getting to it through the drain cover.
Of course there's something important resting down there. So I need something to remove these bolts.
Securely fastened.
Gotcha.
My, this grog shop looks pretty rough, even by chum standards. Best keep a low profile while you're in here, Miles.
Wait a second. This guy was in the other cafe place where I used to meet with Upton. He gets around. But man, this place is terrible.
Doesn't look like cleaning up is high on the list of priorities around here. They don't seem to have much variety in their beer selection. Looks like that's where they keep the good stuff. Of course, around here, good is an extremely relative term.
Excuse me, barmaid?
Hi, what do you need?
I have a lot of election stuff to talk about. I'm gonna leave that maybe till the end.
Have you worked here long?
13 years.
I see. Anything else you can tell me about yourself?
I ain't the friendly type.
Right. Understood.
Gotcha.
You know a man named Ronan Lespay?
Nah, never heard of him.
He was killed here 4 nights ago. The man in this ferrotype.
Oh, that one. Well, I never saw him before that night, and I didn't talk to him. You with the police or something?
No, not at all. I'm just trying to help his sister find out what happened.
So are you done with the questions? Can I get you a drink or what?
Yeah, she's a shrewd businesswoman. You at least have to give her that.
I can buy a drink. Maybe you'll become a little more talkative.
What can you tell me about this place?
It's a bar. People come here to drink. Sometimes people drink too much, and then they're sick all over. I get the honor of cleaning up the mess.
Sounds like you're not too pleased with your job.
I never said that. There may be rough days, but there's a lot worse I could be doing. Here I get a place to sleep and a bit to eat and a few coins in my pocket if the customers are pleased. And you are pleased, ain't you, sir?
Oh, yes. Yes, of course I am.
Good.
Wow.
Where might I find the landlord?
You won't find him anywhere. He doesn't come around here more than once a month.
I was given the physical description of a man. I was wondering if you might recognize him if I told you.
Perhaps. Go on, then.
He's tall, strong build, with a beard or mutton chops, dressing all in black and possibly wearing a cap.
Bit vague, wouldn't you say? That covers about half our clientele.
I was afraid that might be the case. Did you notice anyone of that description here on election night?
No. Can't say I did, sorry.
But it was... The description fits Jimbo, doesn't it? He had a beard, he had a cap, he was dressed all in black. I don't know why we can still ask about that. Maybe there was another strange man.
Were you working on election night?
Pal, I'm here most every night.
So that's a yes, then?
Christ on a cracker, you ain't too bright, are ya? Yes, I was here on election night.
There's no need to be rude about it, madam. Tell me what you know about the murder that took place outside on election night.
Listen, chum, do you know how busy we were that night? This was a polling place. We had gents coming in and out for hours, not to mention the regular clientele. I was up to my ass in drink orders and was running the shift all by myself. Had to break up God knows how many fights, too. So you'll excuse me if I didn't exactly notice something that happened out on the street.
Did you at least hear the gunshot?
No, I didn't. You try distinguishing a gunshot over a room full of rowdy voters. It ain't gonna happen.
You mentioned regular clientele. Who are they?
Oh, we get plenty of regulars in here. Too many to name.
Which of them were here on election night?
Let me think. I remember seeing 3 of the usual crowd. There was Darius, up to no good as always. Then there was Singin' Tom, but he wasn't around for too long. And how could I forget old Cormac? He'd have talked my ear off if I'd let him.
Sound like an interesting bunch of folks.
What can you tell me about Darius?
Hey now, bucko. You've come in here asking me all these questions, but I ain't seen nothing from you. You want more information? You're gonna have to earn it.
Right. Give me a gin, then.
Coming right up.
Don't get carried away now, Miles.
There you are. 1 gin. That'll be 2 shillings.
There's 3. Now then, about Darius.
Now that man is trouble. I've had to throw him out a few times.
Why do you say he's trouble?
His mind's affected by the poppy seed. He can be gentle as a kitten or fly into a rage at a moment's notice. When he gets rowdy, he gets chopped.
I see. Any idea where I might be able to find him?
Don't know why you'd want to find him, but I hear he spends his day at a smokehouse nearby. I believe it's on Crisparkle Lane. Just look for the door with the oriental symbols above it.
And could you describe him to me?
He's a rough-looking sort, about 55 years old, has a scar on his left cheek, grayish hair, medium build.
Excellent. Thank you.
So he's an opium addict, as we read from the book.
Who is Singing Tom?
Ah, Tom. Not sure what his surname is, but he's in here about twice a week. We call him Singin' Tom because he leads the church choir.
Is that right? Which church?
Oh, I haven't a clue. Never really cared to ask.
Does he associate with any of the other regulars?
I've seen him talking with Darius a few times. They seem to be on friendly terms.
It's becoming a lot more complicated with so many people involved. I fail to see how the regulars are implicated in the murder, but they might be.
Tell me about Cormac.
He's in here most every night. Doesn't speak to many people, just me. And a right chatterbox he is, too. Between you and me, Cormac stinks. I can understand why he doesn't keep much company.
He stinks?
Aye, he's a sewer worker. Spends all his day underground in the muck, so he always reeks of shit.
I see. Any idea where specifically he works?
I believe he's at the treatment station, over near the ferry terminal.
If this is going where I think it is, then I'm especially glad I can't smell anything anymore.
Any thoughts on the election?
Nah, couldn't care less, really. Doesn't matter who's in charge. My life ain't getting any better.
But it can certainly get worse with Leroy in office.
We'll see.
I appreciate you taking the time to chat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, take care, barmaid lady. I'll have to look into those leads. All of those many leads. I wish I could take this knife. I could probably take care of those bolts outside.
was beginning to wonder when you'd show up.
Well, wonder no longer. I'm here and I need to see Dr. Edwards.
Oh, I see how it is. He helped you solve a case, and now you don't have time for us lowly front desk clerks.
That's just the way it goes, Upton. Maybe next time you should pick a nicer coffee house.
Right. You know the way. Snelling isn't in today, so you're all clear.
Well, that's a relief. Thanks, Upton.
At this point, I might as well ask for my job back, but I don't really want to work under Snelling. He's an asshole.
Can we talk for a moment, Upton?
Certainly. What's on your mind?
You wouldn't happen to know anything about Ronan Lespay, would you?
Probably nothing more than you already know. His body is in the mortuary, and the reason for his murder is unknown. I suggest you speak with Dr. Edwards.
How are things with you?
Better than last week, but plenty of feathers still ruffled around here.
What happened?
You have to ask. Snelling was not happy with you turning up at the Latham crime scene. He was a right inquisition around here. Snelling going around to interrogate everyone, trying to ferret out a leak.
So he suspects.
I'm afraid so. I managed to calm him down some and divert suspicion. He thinks someone on the force is speaking to the Gazette, not to you directly.
Well, that's some kind of relief. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Oh, don't worry about me. Well, maybe worry about me a little.
Oh, I worry about you a lot. I just don't know why you do this, Upton. It seems like a very risky business for you, and not much of a payoff.
That was one hell of an election, wasn't it?
That it was. I don't know how he managed it, but I'm glad Leroy won.
I can't say I agree, but I'm not really surprised. Leroy may have started as something of a dark horse, but his campaign had been gaining a lot of steam leading up to the election. Pun not intended.
Yes, well, it's the steam tech issue that clinched it. When something like the Lygia happens, people start to wake up and wonder if we really want contraptions like that in our lives.
You have to admit, he was playing up on people's fears. Not exactly the most honorable way of getting into office.
Fordham, since when have politics ever been honorable?
Upton, I need you to put out a bulletin. There's someone I need found.
Oh? Who's that?
I don't know his name. I only have a description.
All right, I'll need to ask you a few questions. Could you describe the man's height and build?
He's tall, with a large build.
All right. What color is his hair?
Black, I think.
I believe it's black.
All right. Do you know of any unique details that might make him easier to identify?
Dressed all in black. Actually, I'm not sure I want to put out this bulletin just yet.
I'm not really sure, actually.
Then maybe you should see if you can ask around to get a more detailed description. This really isn't much to go on, I'm afraid. But I'll try anyway. All right. The bulletin is out. I'll let you know if I hear anything.
Thanks, Upton. I appreciate the help.
Can I put out another bulletin?
Can we talk for a moment?
Certainly.
It appears that I can.
All right.
Thanks, Upton.
Okay, so I can revert to that bulletin thing because I'm not sure. I'm also thinking that the barmaid gave me 2 locations for 3 regulars, so I'm kind of on the lookout for opportunities to find the 3rd one.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone reading those books. I'm half convinced they're purely decorative.
I hope I'm not interrupting anything, Edwards.
Ah, Fordham. Always a pleasure.
Have you got time for some questions?
Of course.
How's the coroner business?
Things have been pretty dead around here lately.
Don't quit your day job, Edwards.
That's excellent humor. That was really fucking funny.
What are your thoughts on the election?
There was an election?
I think our friend Edwards needs to get out a bit more.
So what can you tell me about Ronan Lespay?
Caucasian male, approximately 27 years old. Died of blood loss as a result of being shot at close range. He was brought in 4 nights ago. I performed the post-mortem the following day. After that, his next of kin was contacted. I believe his sister came to identify the body.
Any personal opinions on what might have happened?
Well, the fact he was shot at such a close range would suggest it was done by someone he knew. And robbery doesn't appear to be a motive, since his wallet was found on the body with money in it. Beyond that, your guess is as good as mine.
Better, I hope.
Did the post-mortem reveal anything?
Quite a few things, actually. Mr. Lespay was extremely inebriated when the shooting took place. There was enough alcohol in his blood to presume he had been drinking for hours before his death. I also managed to remove the bullet from his heart. It's a .36 caliber lead ball, standard revolver shot. It shouldn't be too hard to match to a weapon, provided you can find it.
Why was he dressed in different clothes?
Did you notice anything unusual about the clothes Mr. Lespay was wearing?
Unusual? Not really. They seemed a bit big for him, but that's all.
His sister seemed convinced that they didn't belong to him.
That's a distinct possibility, but I couldn't say for sure. He could have just been a sloppy dresser.
So no murder weapons been found?
That's right. Either the killer still has it, or the police just overlooked it. If you happen across any weapons in your investigation, be sure to bring them to me. I can tell you if it matches the bullet.
Thank you, Edwards. I'll be on the lookout. I'll be going now, Edwards.
Take care, Fordham. And remember, not everyone gets to leave the morgue alive, so consider yourself lucky that you can.
Will do, Edwards. Will do.
Assorted lab equipment for setting things on fire or causing explosions. You know, the perfect way to pass the time.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I just wish someone would have like a crowbar or a screwdriver or something to remove some bolts.